Speak. I'm going to start over so that it can be part of the recording. Welcome, everybody, to the Courage to Speak and Take Action for Better Health. We will be with Dr. Jennifaye Brown, but I will introduce myself first. I am Jen Crabb Kyles. I am a 1998 graduate of Oxford College, 2000 graduate of Emory College, and I serve as the Assistant Vice President of Alumni and Constituent Engagement for Emory University. Very excited to be in this role and super excited because part of my job is to interview our spectacular alumni about the work that they do. And so this evening we have Dr. Jennifaye Brown. Dr. Brown has a BA in psychology from Emory University, an MS in physical therapy from the University of Miami, Florida, and a PhD in exercise science from University of South Carolina. Dr. Brown has 35 years of clinical experience focused in neurorehabilitation across the continuum of care and has presented numerous continuing education courses on adult neurologic assessment and treatment intervention for acquired brain injury, particularly stroke. Her primary research explored the perceptions of individuals with stroke regarding their experiences with ankle foot orthosis, AFO. You'll hear us use that acronym quite a bit in this conversation. She also talks about fabrication, modification, and maintenance of how the AFO impacts walking and participating in life roles, which resulted in an amazing book that we'll talk about that she wrote, Brace Yourself, Everything You Need to Know About AFOs After Stroke. A tidbit that I learned about Dr. Brown just recently is that there are she is one of very few people in the nation that is certified as a neurologic clinical specialist. And as a matter of fact, she is the only one in the state of South Carolina. So that just means that we have a lot of wisdom here tonight, you guys. The way that the program is structured is I will ask a few questions of Dr. Brown. As we're asking questions, please put your questions in the chat and we will try to cover them in the Q&A portion of this. And if we don't get to them, she has agreed to give us the answer and we'll send them out in a thank you message. So we'll get started. Welcome, Dr. Brown.
Thank you. So I just wanted to let's really just tell y'all I'm the only one in the state of South Carolina who's been board certified for 4 10-year terms and one of the first people board certified in the state. There's very, very few of us in the nation that's been board certified 4 times. Thank you. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
our Emory alumna is one of them.
Yes. Me.
Fantastic, fantastic. So we'll dive into the questions. The first question is really, what sparked your interest in working on stroke prevention?
Because stroke is a problem that's happening to people of younger age. As a matter of fact, in the late 2000s, early 2010s, um, a young lady from South Carolina named Amy Edmonds had a stroke, a university professor, and she founded the organization Young Stroke. And it was basically for people under 50 who are having a stroke. And they're going to live the normal lifespan 80, 90 years old, even though our lifespan has dropped into the late 70s. But these people still want to function and do all the things in life. And a stroke can be very debilitating. And so I wanted these people to have a vibrant life, a life with purpose, even though they were having their strokes very young.
Wow, that's incredible. The work that you all are doing to ensure that people can continue to live a fulfilled life is
Yes.
really remarkable. So when you talk with patients or community members, what's the most common question or misperception you hear about strokes?
Okay, the most common questions I get are 2 things. Am I going to get stronger and am I going to walk again? It's
Mm.
amazing how people feel fulfilled and accepted if they're upright and walking and they look normal. So if they get their strength back, they can walk normal. But a lot of people don't get their strength back, which we call stroke motor recovery. They usually walk with a limp or their arm is bent like this and they just think well, I'm not normal. You are normal. There's nothing wrong with you as a person. You had a stroke. It killed some motor nerves in your brain that goes to your spine, that goes to your arm and your leg. So those muscles can't work anymore. That doesn't mean you can't hold a job, you can't get married, you can't have kids. Um, it's surprising. I was at the senior center today, and someone who had a massive stroke can't move his arm. He's still in an AFO that I talked about with him today, and he was participating in chair yoga class. So they asked, and my strength is going to come back, and am I going to be able to walk again? The most common misperception is that they won't be normal. And I think
Mm,
we're in a society where you just want to take a pill and that will fix everything, when in actuality, for them to get better and not necessarily be normal, is to have some type of routine exercise or physical activity that they do every day, because it's better for their health outcome. It may not fix the stroke problem, but it will lower their blood pressure. It will manage their cholesterol. It will manage their blood sugars. So the misconception is that they can't be normal per se. Yes, they can be normal in terms of their health outcomes if they
mm.
exercise or participate in physical activity.
Wow, wow. So there's hope is what you're saying. You guys are working with them to
Yes,
infuse hope and determine a new normal for them.
a new normal for them in terms of health status, not necessarily stroke recovery. Because remember, stroke
Mhm.
means that no blood is getting to a part of the brain tissue where those nerves originate. If there's no blood, then that part of the brain dies, and the nerves to that part of the brain dies.
Wow, wow. So what are some small everyday habits that can make a big difference in reducing stroke risk?
Oh, so 20 something years ago, it was cholesterol. Remember, all the restaurants had to change their trans fatty oils and change all the oils? Guess what the common problem is today? Sugar. There's 227
Oh,
versions of
wow.
sugar that's made. And if everyone after this will go to their cupboard and just look at a packaged item, and if you don't see the word sugar, it's probably labeled something else that you don't know.
Mm,
And so the government really doesn't have to tell you that that thing that makes you addictive, that sweetener, is bad for you. So if you're going to eat sugar, just eat a banana, eat an apple, or eat an orange. But we've become so accustomed to things being sweet. We'll say when a watermelon is not sweet, when actually it is sweet enough with the nutrients you need for your body. So sugar
wow.
is the biggest problem. If we could just reduce our intake of sugar, that would greatly help. So instead of putting blueberry compote or blueberry syrup on your pancakes, just use the fresh blueberries
Just
in the
put
morning.
blueberries. Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
Fresh
Yeah.
blueberries.
Yeah. 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 So we're going to transition a little bit to you
Mhm.
wrote a book, Brace
Yes.
Yourself, Everything You Need to Know About AFOs After Stroke. What
Yeah.
originally inspired you? There's the book. What
Yeah.
originally inspired you to publish your book?
Because I had done this research with a lot of my clients, antidotal and then formal through getting grants and stuff. And I said, you have this brace. Why aren't you wearing it? So that you
Mm,
could walk better and engage in exercise in your societal roles, whatever that is. As a new mom, playing golf, as a student. I recently had a student and it didn't fit. It wasn't my flesh tone color. It wouldn't fit in my
mm,
shoes. I didn't like the way it looked. I wear skirts, so I don't want that showing. For the men, it didn't fit in my duck hunting boots, and I like to go duck hunting. These are some of the things I heard. And so I had been quite successful with making different kinds of braces that fit
wow.
into people's shoes, all different sizes. And I'm a Southern belle. Women go to church.
That's
They're not
right.
going to wear a sneaker to church. And so I had to change what I had learned and how I learned to make ankle foot orthosis to fit the person. So I made them more person centered as opposed to off the shelf, small, medium, and large, left foot, right foot. And then I took all of my experience, my research data outcomes, and I put it in a book to empower stroke survivors and said, this, if you need an AFO, you need to make sure you ask this to the physical therapist. You ask this to the orthotist. You do this. There's a chapter that I'm holding the stroke survivors accountable for what they have to do. There's a
Mm,
chapter in there for the physical therapist because we weren't doing the right examination and then sharing that information with the orthotist. It's a team approach for the best health outcome for the stroke survivor, the individual with stroke. And so I really wrote the book to empower stroke survivors with the
mhm,
information they need so they can get a better fitting ankle foot orthosis. And the second reason why I wrote it is because orthotists and physical therapists need to do certain things and they need to do them probably from the perspective from the stroke survivor, the individuals with stroke, so that they have an understanding of what they're going through. Sometimes we want to do the evaluation the way we learned it in school, but that
mhm,
doesn't work. I mean, if you have a Muslim woman, she can't expose her skin, you have to do things different.
mhm.
I mean, there are things that have to be done different. And so I wanted people to do things different and accommodate and respectfully do things within the domain of the social determinants of health.
I love the way that you talk about that because there's so much research now that talks about the empowerment of the recipient of the care and how to
Uh-huh.
get them to ask the right questions or share information that we don't necessarily think that it's important, but it actually is because it sends the clinicians on a different path. And so that empowerment is a really awesome piece that you're giving to everyone.
Yes, because people say, "Well, I'm gonna go to physical therapy and I'm going to physical therapy." Physical therapy is an act which involves you.
Mm,
So it's not so much that I am the secret sauce. I'm your coach. And if you do the work, you're going to get better. Now, like I said, you may not recover from the stroke itself based on the damage in your brain, but you will be able to function at a different level. And it's my job to make
mm.
sure that you are safely functioning in the context of your environment, of your situation. I need to go back to something because I saw something in the
Yes.
chat that was very important. People want to know why sugar is such a problem in causing a stroke because it makes your blood like jelly and it coagulates and it gets thick and then it's
Mm.
like sludge in a pipe. You can't get the blood through. And that's what diabetes is. It's sugar in the blood. And sugar in the blood not only coagulates and stops blood flow, it eats at your nerve endings. Your nerves have a raincoat called myelin sheath. And then you have these things that, it's a lot of difficult, but telomeres with little caps, these important things that help build your brain, minute structures. Sugar destroys those things. So when the sugar destroys your myelin sheath, your raincoat, it's like you're standing outside and the rain is hitting on your
Mm.
naked skin. And
Mm.
that's the neuropathy. That's the tingling that you
Oh,
feel.
sounds so painful. Donna,
That's
I
the
can see your
tingling
face
that you
and
feel. The
yes.
neuropathy. That's the tingling that you feel. So sugar is just, and did y'all, okay, so the new term now for cirrhosis of the liver in children is called fatty liver disease. Now, y'all know the kids ain't drinking bourbon at 7, 8, and 9. They are
Wow.
eating sugar. They're eating processed foods and sugar before they go to school called Frosted Flakes, and they're eating it at school, and then they
Mhm.
eat it at the Mickey D's because y'all are on your way to soccer, this, that, and
Yep.
the other. And then they're getting the dinner at home, which is heavily processed because you're putting something in the oven to heat up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sugar is
Yeah.
just not white sugar. It's things that's
Mm.
refined and processed.
Wow.
Okay?
I am blown away that a conversation about stroke is like, and it's rooted in sugar. So this
Yeah.
already is like Yeah. Yes, Donna. Yes. She's the amen corner.
Yes, I'm
Absolutely.
I'm looking at some of the chatter, and it's hard. A sweet tooth.
It is.
I have a sweet tooth, and so I limit myself to the junk sweet tooth, so which is the creamer in my coffee, which I had decaf this afternoon. And guess what? I'm the girl that counts the cookies. So I only had
Mm,
4 sheets. I think I had 4 sheets of the graham crackers, and I didn't have any chocolate on there, no marshmallows, no peanut butter. It
wow.
was just the graham crackers. But I had a very healthy lunch because we made sandwiches out of the homemade bread that I baked this morning.
Wow. So it sounds like that too might be one of like going back to one of the small everyday habits that can make a difference is the preparation of your own food, more of that. And
Yes.
I've heard that is a trend as well.
Yes. So this morning when I was baking the bread and the oven had to warm up to 450 degrees, I put string beans in the skillet in the oven and mixed vegetables in the oven in a skillet, my grandmother's skillet, and I
Wow.
put a sweet potato in there. And then once the vegetables were finished cooking, I take my old leeks roots or onion roots and I put them in a pot. And I just went and snipped them this morning, put them in that same skillet, added some avocado oil, and sliced
Mm.
up a zucchini. So now I got
Ooh,
about 4 or 5 vegetables to eat after this and all day tomorrow.
that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hmm.
So, what are some of the big ideas in your book? I mean, you talked a little bit about the section on empowering and the patient to have the right questions. You talk about the clinicians. Can you dive a little bit deeper into those?
Yes. So the very first chapter or pages is about my journey. I wear a size 12 and I have a very narrow foot 4A. And it was hard for
Ah,
me to find shoes. I am at risk for stroke because I have sickle cell disease. And I'm thinking, if I ever have a stroke, knock on wood, what brace am I going to get to fit my shoe? And do I have to get a
mm,
size 13 to accommodate the brace and get something extra wide? That means I have to buy 2 pair of shoes, one that fits my narrow fit and then a wide shoe that will accommodate the brace. And so I started thinking about it in terms of me. And I said, there are a lot
mm,
more people like me, and I need to help them. And so I started off with that. But the second major thing early in the book is I explain all things stroke in a way that a caregiver and an individual with stroke would understand, and the font is big. So it's universal design with big letters, and for every concept there's a picture to go with the concept. So the exact muscles that are affected with the stroke, why you have to wear the brace, what those muscles do. I even have a section in there on shoes, what type of shoes you should buy if you have to get a brace, and how the brace should accommodate the shoe that is most appropriate for you.
wow, wow.
That's at the front of the book. And then I have, the examination, the full physical therapy examination, what the physical therapist should do. And
Mm.
then right after that, I have all the questions that you should ask the physical therapist. And
Talk
so
about
it falls,
empowerment.
yes, empowerment. They need
Yes,
to know
yes,
because they don't know
yeah,
what to ask.
yeah.
And I bet you if they knew what to ask and what to say, the AFO would not be in the closet when I go visit these people at their homes,
Mhm.
and they would be out walking the park and with their
Wow.
dogs and running with their grandchildren.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I mean, you talk about the questions. What are some of the questions that patients should ask when it comes to stroke recovery and AFOs?
Will you do exercises with me with the brace off? Because
Mm,
there's no reason why you can't take the brace off and do the exercise. The braces, well, mine, you can tell mine bends here because I made sure mine
mhm,
is flexible. It depends, the flexibility depends. See, this is moving. It depends how weak the person is. So, see, this opens up a little bit, but it's really stiff at the heel, but the heel can go in and out right at the ankle. But down here,
mhm,
it's stiff. So, you can do the exercises with the brace on. Just take off the strap so your leg can come forward or can move left or right or, in or out. because that's important for you to sit to stand or to squat to get money off the floor. This is an off the shelf Amazon one. And guess what? I can't even bend
Oh,
it.
wow.
I can't move it at all. It's real stiff. So if you wear this, all the time and you're doing your exercises, your muscles are never going to get strong. So the other thing I do is I just add some strapping. So the question that they should ask, are you going to change my brace over time as I get stronger and not weaker? Hopefully the patients are getting stronger. And
Right,
as they
right.
get stronger, I add a strap that's really stretchy. They can really, so I have straps of different tensions.
Mm,
Um, Another question is, if I start off with my brace really tall like this, and as I get stronger, will you shave it down? So this is an example of a brace that's been shaved down because they don't need their calf muscle covered. They need more support at their ankle. And if you notice, this person needs more support on the inside of their ankle here,
wow.
not so much the outside. But you have to do a good physical therapy examination.
Hmm.
What is the cost if I go back to the orthotist and changes need to be made? What if I have an event where I have to get a whole new AFO? Will Medicare cover it? Because, there's some
Mm,
unwritten rule that Medicare will only pay for a brace after 5 years. And most private insurers follow Medicare. All you
okay.
have to do is write a letter of medical necessity. In April, I had a paper published about what are we doing with the data and are we giving it to the insurance company to prove that the person needs the AFO and use that justification to cover the expenses of the ankle foot orthosis. So those are just a couple of questions that I put in the book for the
Hmm.
patients to ask the therapist and or the orthotist.
I can only imagine. So my mother had a stroke, and I
Mhm.
was her caretaker. And I know in a little bit we'll talk about caretakers, but I can only imagine that these these very intentional personal changes to the way the relationship forms in terms of how to use the AFOs must lead to more success in them getting stronger. So this isn't one of our questions, but that we free questions, but now I'm interested. So what is the impact that you see when people are having this more communicative and collaborative relationship with their caretakers around the use of the AFOs?
When I see that the physical therapist is conversing with the individual with stroke, the caregiver, and the orthotist as a team, and it may not
Mhm.
be all the time. The orthotist may be only coming twice to do the casting or the scanning and then to fit the ankle foot orthosis. But when I see a team approach, I see that the individual with the stroke is much more confident to try
Mm.
things and do things. I also see the caregiver doing things that will help the both of them, like exercise together, engage in
Yeah.
physical activity together. So to me, I find that the individual with stroke is much more confident and people are getting healthier together. For when they say, well, we don't have time to exercise, it's a priority now. They value that and they
Yeah.
value the time with each other. Most people were coming and going. These
Mhm.
husbands and wives coming and going.
Mhm.
The children dishing them
To
here,
spend
taking them
money.
there, having them there. And now they're spending time together. And it's valuable time because what they realize now is time that is all that they truly do have. So instead of doing,
Yes.
doing, doing, people are being, and
Oh, that's
intentional
beautiful, Dr.
about
Brown.
being. Yes.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yep. So I'm going to transition just a little bit around how do things like stress, sleep, you talked a bit about exercise play a
Mhm.
role in stroke prevention. And I guess too, also you've talked about how it plays a role in stroke recovery. So,
So there's eustress, which is good stress, and then there's the bad stress that's hyped with cortisol, and that's why we eat
mm,
because we're stressed. So the cortisol level. So here's the thing: the nervous system wants a little stress. Like to call it challenge. Make something
mm,
hard, and then you accomplish it, and then you do the next hardest thing. Like I make people climb up the steps, step over step over step. But we were taught up with the good, down with the bad. That makes no sense because when you step, your knee bends and you land on your toes. That means I've got to change the forefoot part of the AFO so that's either shaved off or it's flexible. And so stress is good, but you don't look at it as a negative. You look at
Mm,
it as a thing to prime the system to achieve a task, and then you go to the next task. And I really do think that improves confidence in an individual with stroke, also. So, stress is a good stress, but this quote unquote negative or bad stress is not necessarily negative or bad. It's a challenge to the system in which the person has to problem solve and overcome something that is difficult, and then they start doing things with ease.
mm. So there's a progression there.
It
Like
is
it
a
may not
progression.
feel comfortable, and it
Yes,
really shouldn't, because
it
in the
shouldn't.
end you're strengthening it, and that's how you
Yes,
know.
right.
Wow. There's a whole
Exactly.
life lesson there.
Yes. Yes, because we want everything to be easy. We want to take the pill. We want to take the shot. All right.
Hmm.
And all it is, and I see some more questions in there. We're back to the
Yes.
sugar thing. So yes, the food, the stuff that they put in your food is addictive. So people, well, what are some natural sugars? The fruit that you eat. So when you make sweet tea, drop some blueberries in there or drop some strawberries in there.
Oh.
All right. You don't have to add sugar to the tea. And when you're drinking tea, you're tasting the sugar. You're not really tasting the actual true tea leaves. All teas aren't bitter.
Mm.
They some teas, the leaves have really a pleasant, like mint tea. Just add some mint to your tea. It's pleasant tasting. I keep coconut around the house, like fresh coconut, and then I freeze it and then I shred it, and that's a natural sweetener. So I put that in my oatmeal, or my I make a lot of pancakes. I make breakfast for dinner and I love pancakes. And that's probably because I work out a lot. And so I need some carbs. So I do a unprocessed, unbleached wheat, that I eat that looks like the color of my skin. And so my pancakes tend to be a little dark. And then guess what? I add scallions, or onions, or herbs. And then now I have like a sweet and salty. I have a salty type. It's not necessarily salt because I use very little salt. I use Himalayan salt and I do one twist. I can only do one twist. And so I have that for my palate, but lots of herbs. So I just
Mhm.
wanted to go back because it seems that the
Thank
sugar
you.
thing just got everybody
I
on
know
rage.
that now it's fake sugar
Yeah,
and no honey, so
yeah.
maybe you could
So
address those
right.
two.
I do honey, but guess what, y'all? I get the all natural honey with the beehive in it from the gardeners that come at the farmers market. I don't buy the stuff in the store. Like, buy to go in their closet after this and look at the peanut butter and see what's added to the peanut butter. If y'all were to get real peanuts, you could take your own peanuts and grind them. And you put them in a container. The oil's gonna go to the top and the peanuts are gonna sit to the bottom. You just have to stir it every day. But some of us are lazy. So we gotta add all this stuff to the peanut. All right, so we can get it on like Jif smooth and all of that. But just buy
Yeah.
some peanuts and grind them up yourself, and the oil's gonna go to the top and the peas, and then that's an all natural peanut for peanut butter.
I know.
Yeah,
Look, Damo said you got to start a meal prep business.
I should. I should. Yeah, I
Yes,
did a
yes,
lot this
yes.
morning. I did a lot this morning in terms of cooking. Yeah.
Wow, wow. So what about, let's talk a little bit about the work that you do in the community. So what would be some things you encourage other stroke experts and educators in the community to do more of, or do
I
more
would
of?
tell I would just tell them to take the time wherever they live, their community, take the time to volunteer to speak. Your synagogue,
Mm,
your church, your gym. October is physical therapy month. Just tell the people in the gym, can I just spend 5 minutes talking to a group of seniors or even young folks that I see taking all this high energy drinks? It's not good for you either. And just
yeah.
tell them the importance of high intensity exercise. Everybody wants to lift and be buff and do the one max power lift, but is that good for your heart? So
Mm,
different types of levels and types of exercise. So where you are, just speak to your community about the importance of and the different types of exercise. Everybody thought we were supposed to take 12,000 steps. Well, I'm not walking 12,000 steps, but I'm walking up and down the stairs because my building has 3 flights, and I'm walking backwards and sideways, and then I'm walking fast to the mailbox, and then I'm walking slow, and then I'm walking fast in the square, and then I'm walking slow. So it's how you
mm,
walk that matters. So those are type things that they can do about intensity. If you're really good and know something that works and you've done it with a patient, you started off at baseline, you did this intervention, and this was the outcome, write it up as a blog and post it someplace.
mm,
And why did you do the intervention? So that's your evidence-based practice. No one has money to write a grant and do a double-blind study for research, and most of the research is sterile. It really doesn't take into account community. I call them qualms, and they're not all bad things, but good things. So sleep may have been an issue that your person didn't do well in the clinic that day or for the research study. Maybe they had caffeinated coffee as opposed to
mm,
decaf. So all those things, those little quirky things, I call them community qualms, come into play. So if what you're doing is working, write it up, submit it. All right. If you have the opportunity to, you have a client that helps and wants people to learn, show up to a university classroom and volunteer your work as a clinician in the community, and let the students practice with the patient, not on the patient, but with the
mm,
patient. But most important, let the person with the stroke tell their story, what was good about their healthcare experience and what was not. So, three
mm,
things. Wherever you are in your community, share your knowledge. Number two, if you're having great outcomes with your individuals with stroke, write it up and post it someplace, a blog, do something with it. And then three, engage in education for the future of others with your clients or patients. Bring them in, if they're comfortable, into a university setting and demonstrate the students the techniques, and have the individual with stroke survivors share their story.
mm. Yep. Ties back to your empowerment theory again, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, Dr. Brown.
Mm.
So are there community programs or resources you'd recommend for people who want to be proactive about stroke health?
Okay, so first thing you can do is go to the American Heart Association website. And you know what? That website has really improved over the years. So if you're a part of group of menopausal women, there's a group or an entity of information for you. If you're African American and have kidney disease and how the whole kidney system dies into the cardiovascular system, there's information for you. So it's
Mm,
really person centered and community group oriented. It's just not ischemic strokes, hemorrhagic strokes, and this is what happened. If your lifestyle is this, then this is how stroke impacts you. If your blood type is this is how stroke impacts you. So I would start with the American Heart Association.
okay.
The second thing I would do is, if your hospital has a wellness center associated with it, go to the
Mm,
wellness center, especially if you worked in public service. You probably have some type of silver sneakers program. And if it doesn't work at your hospital based wellness center, go to the senior center and see if they take it, or go to your parks and recreation center to see if they take it. Now, you may not have a retired physical therapist like me working at the center, but I've empowered you enough with enough information. You can take that book to the trainer or whoever's there and say, I've had a stroke. I need to work on my strengthening, flexibility. Here's some information if you're not familiar. And then you make it a team, again, make it a team
mm,
based, all right, a situation. So American Heart Association, a community-based wellness center. Don't forget about your health ministries at your synagogue, your church, your mosque. Those are you have a lot of retired nurses and physicians
Mm,
and public health people working in those entities, in those religious community spaces. So that's
wow.
where I'd start.
So
Oh, and you
utilizing the
know what?
resources.
Yes, if you want to get free physical therapy or continued services, if there's a physical therapy program or physical therapist assistant program where you are, then I would go to the school, ask them if it's a research one university called Research One, do y'all have any studies for individuals with stroke? Sign up for the study. You may
Ah,
get a stipend. And then you let them know I'm finished with all of my physical therapy. I'm not doing anything because they don't want anything to intermix with the research. So, sign up for the research study. And then the second thing, say, I would love to be the guest patient for student labs.
mm, mm.
Then you can get continued therapy all year round by being the guest
Wow.
person at the student labs.
Wow. These are
Yeah.
incredibly helpful. We are coming to the end of my questions, so we have 2 more questions. So you guys please put your
Yes.
questions in the chat. We'll continue to open it up. So this question is, if you could give just one, oh, no, I don't want to go that one first. I'm going to go to Damos. So what has been the most shocking and surprising thing you've learned during your research slash stroke experience?
Um, that people are still people and they want to do all the things that they did before their stroke.
Mhm.
And at one point, I was at this day rehab facility in Georgia, and I was being recommended for the person who will talk to you about how to position yourself so that you can have an enjoyable sex life.
Oh,
And that's
that is surprising. Okay.
yeah. And this is what I knew my anatomy and kinesiology, and I know how to position people, and I know how to
Mm.
make things
Wow.
efficient and effective for movement. That's all it was.
Yeah,
So you can't
yeah.
be embarrassed about anything.
Mm,
And if
mm.
that's the goal of the patient, then it's my job to achieve the goal, to help the patient achieve their goal.
Yeah, wow. I wouldn't have thought about that. So yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
that was shocking to me.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. But fulfillment is fulfillment. So, um,
Yes.
if you could get just one take-home message about stroke prevention, what would it be?
Um,
Other than sugar.
man, yeah, well, that's the top on the list.
Yeah.
Diet. You have to
Yeah.
manage your diet and then exercise or physical activity. I
Mm.
know plenty of people who've had a stroke that took their cholesterol medicine, they took their diabetes medicine, and took their blood pressure medicine. And they weren't eating healthy and they were sedentary. They were not
Mm.
exercising. So just because you take the medicine doesn't mean you're not going to get the stroke.
Mm. It's like what you
Yeah.
said about the care team too. So there's a
Yeah,
three-prong approach into this as
e-
well.
exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Thank you, Dr.
Um,
Brown. So, yeah, Donna has a question. Did I hear you advise against regular coffee? Seems
okay.
like every year there's a different opinion about coffee.
So then you have to understand what is coffee and what it does to your body and what do you need. So I'm postmenopausal and I've already got the little pitter patter heart, so I can't have any caffeine. So I do
Mm,
decaf. And I'm trying to drink a plant-based um, creamer because I like creamer. I like sugar. And so I'm trying to do a plant-based. And so that's what I do.
yes.
And so I wanted to save some money because coffee, decaf coffee, and I was getting it organic and the creamer costs money. So we went to teas. And
Gotcha.
I saved money by buying organic tea leaves. And that's how I saved money one year.
All right. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Donna's like, okay. Yeah. We have a question from Melissa Sexton. Hey, Melissa. Do
Um,
you, oh, do you
do I
have
have
top herbal supplement recommendations?
No, I don't, because I went to a naturopathic holistic doctor for after I had my sickle cell diagnosis, and all these herbal supplements had stuff in there that I couldn't read. So I go to
Mm.
old Mr. Fields here down there on Johns Island, and I buy everything green that he grows on the farm, and yellow dock root. That's what I do. So, it's not that I'm taking a supplement. And y'all, I read a lot. So I just read a study. The people who ate the real fatty fish oils, like whitefish, salmon, the haddock, the salmon, and then the sardines in the can, which I do not like, they had a much better health outcome than the people who were taking the synthetic omega
Oh,
3s and
wow.
fish oils. Why? Because our body has something that can process the real thing. It cannot process the synthetic supplement pill
Mm.
form. So the only thing I really take is over the shelf is lysine. And after my last sickle cell crisis, they wanted to increase my folate intake of B9. And so I'm doing 1,000 milligrams of that. I try to buy the organic, all natural over 55 woman pill because of my hip replacements and all these other things I've had due to the sickle cell. I got to take vitamin D and vitamin C, but when you take too much of those things without your magnesium and all these other things, it doesn't work, meaning that the vitamin C goes to your arteries and gets stuck in the walls and makes them heavy. So I just eat beets. Beets helps with the getting the vitamin C and the D. And I take a sunshine walk every day. And so that I
A
get the
sunshine
vitamin
walk. How long is your walk usually? Asking
whenever I
for a
have a
friend.
break. So I go multiple times whenever I have a
Okay.
break. So I'll
Okay.
I'll go after this. I'll take a
Awesome.
little walk. Yeah.
Awesome. I saw
Yeah.
another question in here. Is there such a thing as strokes running in the family? That's a really good
So
question.
so is it the stroke per se that runs in the family, or the habits that you have that runs in the family?
Mm-hmm.
Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the
Mm-hmm.
stroke or is it the habits?
Yeah.
So, Thanksgiving is coming up. Who's bringing the green salad? Are y'all gonna have the potato salad and the sweet potatoes with the candy coating thing on top and the syrup? So is it really that the strokes run in the family or the habits run in the family?
You preaching. You preaching. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Yeah. Just a personal story that I'll share. As I said, my mother suffered from a stroke at the beginning of COVID in 2019. And her stroke was definitely due to the habits that were
Uh-huh.
formed in our family, and you can see those in lots of family members. And so I made a decision to change my life in honor of the fact that we lost her due to
Yeah.
stroke, which led to dementia, or did the dementia lead to stroke? That's another question I had. But
Right.
yes, yeah, I see what you're saying. Thank you. Um,
Yes.
there's another question here that says, oh, it's moving so fast. Blah, 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 blah. I thought I saw another question. Oh, will you place her book? That was to Damo. You're placing the book in the. Okay, so do we have other questions for Dr. Brown? I think I've covered all the questions in the chat.
So I'm getting some direct messages and I'm trying to answer them. Um, yes, if y'all just look up Dr. Jennifaye V. Brown, maybe my website will pop up, but it's jvbneuropt.com/book. But Dominique is going to put all of that in the chat. The PowerPoint that we followed today is going to be in there. My Vita will be in there. So if you want to, because there's a lot of people who've been direct messaging me, and I'm not good with the dual tasking. I'll just admit it. So if
Yeah,
y'all just go to my website and email me, you can get my email. My email's in that PowerPoint. It will come to, and I do check the email, y'all. I'm not that busy. I check the email. Thank you. I'm glad it was informative.
I have
yes,
a next
thank you.
question as well.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Are there things that people can do to be better advocates of people who are doing research for stroke or people who have done strokes? Like places people can volunteer or anything people can maybe volunteer to help you with if you're, out in the field?
You go to a university hospital that's a stroke certified center. That's the easiest place. So you just have to Google your zip code and put stroke certified hospital. And is there a university affiliated with it? And then you dial the just stroke center. Are you having any research studies that I can be a part of? That's your easiest way. And then the American Heart Association, I'm sure you email them, call them, and ask them where are the federally listed, if there are any going on right now, federally listed,
Mm,
is it multi-class or something? It's a multi-site, multi-center site stroke research studies. And for those, you have to be like an RO1 research institution. You have to have some type of support system going on, but I know you have to be a RO1 research institution.
mm.
So that's a good question. You're welcome. You're
Yes, yes.
welcome.
This is very informative. We're getting lots of thank you and appreciation. Before I turn it over to Dr. Brown, any parting words that you'd like to reinforce for us, or anything like that? The floor is yours.
Um, Before you just bite into something, think about why am I eating? Why am I
Mm,
eating? And what is it that I'm eating? And before you eat, drink a glass of water. Sometimes we eat because we're dehydrated.
mhm.
And if
Look
we
at
would just
Donna.
drink, yeah, even if you would just drink some water. Now, not all water is good water. We're doing some construction within 2 miles of my house, and I started brushing my teeth at the beginning of August, and I noticed a difference in the water. So now I got a glass
Mm,
jug of water in my bathroom. So just
mm,
be intentional in the moment. Why am I eating? And then what am I eating? Answer those two questions and drink a glass of water, and then reach for something different that's
mm,
for your nutrition, that's not going to solve the craving. We need to eat for our nutrition. We're eating to satiate the craving, right?
mm,
You need to satiate for nutrition. That's why when the hotels probably got 3 stars and not five, they're baking cookies and they're popping popcorn in the lobbies. Because your high end hotels do not have cookies and popcorn in the lobby. I was just traveling this weekend. The high
you're
end
right about
hotel
that.
did not.
Yeah,
They did
yeah.
not. So something's wrong when you're eating and craving the junk food.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. That's a whole nother
Yeah.
topic. It sounds like nutrition.
So
Yes, yes.
because what we're eating is making us sick.
Mhm.
So eat for your nutrition, and I want y'all to get some exercise in and physical activity. All right,
Yeah.
exercise and physical activity and a little
Awesome.
sweat. I got natural hair. We worried about these edges and having our hair long and blowing in the wind, but a little sweat is good for you. Promise you.
Yeah. Well, I echo Melissa. You are an excellent teacher. Thank you so much for your time teaching us today. And then Dominique, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yay, I have to say thank you again. You guys were amazing. Thank you, Jen and Dr. Brown. I learned so much, especially as a young woman who is 30 and actively trying to figure out ways to be healthier and better and be an example for my family, which can be very challenging. So this was so helpful. I wrote down a bunch of notes and tips. So thank you so much. And again, thank you everyone who is here today. Thank you for sharing the event. Please feel free to continue to invite people. Again, this has been presented by the Emory Impact Circle. So there will be more in our virtual series. So please continue to invite your colleagues, Emory alum, and friends. And if you want more information about the Emory Impact Circles, please feel free to reach out to myself or Ricardo Horn. And just thank you guys again for being here. I want to let you know that in the thank you email, I will share Dr. Brown's PowerPoint and some more information about her book and where you can find it or order it online. So thank you guys. This has been so great, and we look forward to seeing you again at the next event.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr.
Bye,
Brown.
everyone.